One APIA Nevada is a grassroots nonprofit organization that advocates for policies empowering everyday Asian Pacific Islander Nevadans. Nevada is home to a growing APIA community, accounting for 1 in 10 voters. We are One APIA Nevada. Tonight's episode of Out in Front is brought to you by our season sponsors, Nevada State Education Association, One APIA Nevada, Silver State Voices, and Stefan and Marta Schmidt.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this week's episode of Out in Front with Battleborn Progress. My name is Brian Harris. I'm going to be your guest host this week, as some of our other staff members are in committee hearings. But I'm joined this week with a couple of my staff members and colleagues that I work with so closely. We're going to be giving you all an update on MV-led information and also the grassroots lobby days that have been happening these past few weeks. So also, if you're just joining us, please don't forget to share and also drop questions in the chat for our partners. So let's go ahead and kick it off. So I'll start first with Ignacio. Ignacio, thanks for joining us tonight. Can you talk to us about the Language Access Bill AB 246 and how this bill will better our communities?
Hey, Brian, how are you doing? Well, I'm very happy about these bills and these and other bills that are being presented in the legislative building, because they are going to change our community if they pass in a very positive way. Assembly Bill 246 and permit because I have some notes here. There are so many bills that I need these notes. Assembly Bill 246 will require the Secretary of State, county clerks, and city clerks to, number one, have voting materials and election information available on their websites in Spanish and other languages. Number two, have information posted in audio recording in any required language if there is not a standard writing system. And number three, have certified translators in the language they are translating. This is very important because right now, if you have somebody like me that is a citizen that wants to be part of the process, somebody like me with this accent, somebody that grew up maybe in another country and grew up with another language, it's always very important to read important information in your own language, in your mother language, I would say. So if you have information related to elections and you have it in your own language, that will make a big change for everyone. I don't know, this is a change. This is a question for you, Brian. The first time you voted, did you see the questions that you had to choose, and what was your experience? I am curious about this.
Okay, cool. Thanks for asking me that question, actually. So the first time I voted, I read the questions, but I had to read them over a couple times because I didn't really understand what they meant, but it did help that, it was in English, but if I did speak another language, I would feel like it would be better if it was in my mother language as well, because, it would just be easier for me to understand. So I would be able to answer the question correctly or vote how I would want to vote instead of being like, I'm not sure, just not going to vote any as well. So I just might as well, it'd be best to have it in a language that I understood so that, I really just knew what I was talking about and make sure that the questions that are on the ballot get voted on the correct way.
And I love your answer because that's exactly what happened to me. And of course, I came to this country older than you are right now. But the first time that when I became a citizen, the first time that I had to go and vote, I read these questions and I had to read like 5 times before I understand. Google, do a whole situation about translating and understanding what this means. So if you have this information, again, important information in your own language, it will make a beautiful change in our communities. This change will allow our communities to free part of the system and to be responsible also for their future. So just to let you know, and I'm going to read these numbers because based on the 2020 census, more than 470,000 Nevadans, that's 29% of the population here, who are 18-year-olds or older, reported speaking a language other than English. And we are talking that this is almost 300,000 people that speak Spanish in Nevada, and the rest speak other languages. So it is very important to have this information not only in Spanish, of course, not only in English, but not only translated to Spanish and well translated, I will have to say, not only in Spanish, but also in Mandarin, Korean, Tagalog, and other languages, because these communities are big here and they want to be part of the system.
Yes, thank you so much for that information, Ignacio. I totally agree. We are a very diverse state here in Nevada. So I feel like we should have, our election system should match up with our diversity in the state. I feel as if we're so diverse and we want folks to be able to vote and feel a part of the democracy system here that we have in place, then there should be election materials in their native language. So thank you for that. My next question would be, I know you are our Latino anti-disinformation manager here on the team. Would you be able to talk to us about AB 117 and how that connects with disinformation as well?
Oh my God, my friend, where can I start with this? I can talk about this information for years, guys, so you will have to stop me, Brian.
Okay, give me like a brief summary.
Okay, if I am talking too much, just let me know. But well, what AB 117 will do, it requires the Department of Public Safety to investigate domestic terrorism and their activities. So this is huge because it will give power to our authorities to do things that right now they cannot. And there's a lot of hate towards minorities, especially against immigrants right now, Latinos, Blacks, Jewish, and LGBTQ communities. So there's a lot of conversation when I have to monitor this information targeting these communities. So you only need one crazy person to do harm if they are radicalized with this information that is disinformation. So all these lies for years have been radicalizing, talking about radicalization, have been radicalizing several groups of our society. And people really believe in these lies, and they get together in these groups that are, for putting an example, I'm going to talk about the Boogaloo Brothers, I believe it is. Right now, the word is gone. But these are neo-Nazis that are getting together. Some of these people are not really neo-Nazis, but they are being told that their country is being taken away apart, that immigrants are being here to replace them, that Jews are organizing a whole thing. I don't want to amplify this information, but the lies that are telling them are so many, and these people believe in this. So you have a few years ago, just when we were in the middle of the pandemic, just when we were dealing with the situation with George Floyd and the protests in the streets, the Boogaloo, I believe it's the Boogaloo Brothers. Please Google people. I don't want to give you bad information, but they got together and they wanted to really damage our infrastructure. And they got them. So what would happen if they didn't? That's the thing. And is this bill, AB 117, will do that. Will investigate hate speech in social media and around to being able to stop domestic terrorism. I hope I explained that correctly.
Yeah, that was great. I really do appreciate it. We've got some other great questions in the chat in the chat from the audience, so we'll get to those in just a second. Well, actually, we can get to one now. Actually, I have one from Lisa Lynn Chapman. She says, "Where does disinformation start or incubate?"
Well, big part of the disinformation in our days is in social media. Social media is a big incubator of disinformation, and it has the nature of amplify disinformation. So there are several things that we can do to stop disinformation. First of all, we need to realize what disinformation is. That is information created to harm a person, to harm a nation, to harm an organization. It's not just a lie. It's not just a mistake. A reporter can be giving you a wrong date for an election, or maybe read in the teleprompter a wrong date. But if there's a purpose behind for people not for stopping people to go and vote, that's disinformation. Now, if we have content arriving to our phone, arriving to our computers, and we are not sure if that content is real, please do not share it, because we don't want to amplify this information. We don't want to be the cause that somebody else it's being radicalized. So if you get information that you are not sure, go to serious sources. You can go to respectable news organizations or to agencies from the government to see if the information that you are getting is correct. And if it's correct, send it. If it's not, if you cannot prove this information, please don't send it. And that's where we all can do something to make this huge issue better for all of us.
Yes, so that was actually so great. That was a great way to sum up how we can definitely fight against disinformation and how different disinformation spreads. So thank you for that. Next, I'd like to go to Paula. Paula, I was there in Carson with you for Conservation Lobby Day and also Latino Lobby Day. But can you tell folks about the Lobby Day events that have been happening at the legislature, and what were your some of your favorite moments?
Hi, Brian. Thank you so much. I was on last week's show and I was talking a little bit about Conservation Lobby Day and Latino Lobby Day, which were awesome. But I do have to say that this past week was my favorite because we got to bring up our own volunteers, and they were all awesome. We had a mix of people who had done it before and people who had never done it before, and we all got to kind of either learn or review the process and then put it in action. So one of my favorite moments is probably because we're approaching a deadline next week, so a lot is and we have a lot of important bills happening right now, so a lot of stuff is moving in the legislature, and we were warning our volunteers that because the deadline's approaching, because of all the action happening at the legislature, like you might have to lobby your assemblyman, your assembly person, or your senator. Your appointment might get rescheduled. Maybe you won't be able to meet them, but if you have an opportunity to lobby them, you take that opportunity and you lobby them. So we had this group that came up from Nye County, and they were really excited to meet. And they were one of my favorite volunteers, by the way. The Prickly Pears, shout out if you guys are watching ROIF tonight, because they were just so excited about the process. And they, one of their assemblyman's committees ended up running long. So their appointment was going to be rescheduled, but they didn't know if they were going to be able to meet. And just as I was taking them to reschedule, we ran into the assemblyman in the hallway. And I was like, okay, now it's time to put what you have to what you practice to use. And they walked with him into his next meeting lobbying him, talking about the bills that they cared about. They were supporting one of his bills and wanted him to support one of their bills. So it was really cool to see them like take the tools that they had just learned and put it in action, and they were excited about it. So they did a great job.
That's so cool, actually. I've actually, this is my first legislative session, so I've practiced the elevator speech, trying to, make sure that you know what you're going to ask these legislators, because like you said, a committee might go over, or, your meeting might have to get rescheduled, but, just staying ready so you don't have to get ready is, something I've always heard and, used before in my life. But this is really something that shows that you have to stay ready so you don't have to get ready, because you never know when you'll walk into or bump into a legislator or bump into someone that's influential to you and that you will want to lobby them. So thank you for that experience. My next question is well, you testified on SB 440 last night. Why is that bill important and how will it improve our state?
Yeah, I really like this bill, and a big shout out to the majority leader for sponsoring it. But SB 440 would give our state employees, it would give them an initial bonus, and it would give them a pay increase, which is like, first of all, it's so important because we all know we're feeling the effects of the pandemic. We're all like, we can all obviously all use like the support, but our hardworking state employees can definitely use that support. And what I liked most about this bill is Majority Leader Canizaro really took into account those like bargaining units that were really working hard to get these pay increases and these bonuses. And that's what it's all about. So she heard them, she advocated for them, she sponsored this bill, and I really hope the committee will sponsor it too, because I think it's going to go a long way in helping our state employees.
Yeah, true. That is very true. We are still feeling the effects of, the pandemic and inflation, but, our state employees, do definitely deserve to have livable wages, and, and the majority leader is really awesome for, shepherding this bill forward and, making sure that folks, are represented in the best way possible. So thank you for that. Can you talk to us a little bit about AB 250 and tell folks how you feel about helping? Well, I know we kind of talked about advocates lobbying their legislators, but can you talk about how, helping them testify was for you?
Yeah, absolutely. AB 250 was like it was a really important bill for a lot of the volunteers that went up for lobby days. It was I want to say it was for everybody. I know it definitely is for me, as like pretty much the bill helps reel in like the prescription drug prices. So there's going to be these bills that there's going to be a set list of prescription drugs that are going to be capped in pricing, and we're going to be bringing this bill makes it so that in the state they're capped for everybody, because as of right now you have to be either of a certain age to qualify for them, and this would make it so that our teachers, our first responders, whoever it is, me, you, my 12-year-old niece to my mom who's, in her 60s, they would, if they need this prescription, they would be paying the same price, which I think speaks a lot about, fairness and equality, and like your certain circumstances shouldn't mitigate or determine whether or not that you can afford medicines. And like I was saying, this was such an important bill for so many of our volunteers. Jamie, I won't even try to pronounce their last name because it's I will mess it up. But they were talking about how they're a teacher, and they also I know they're diabetic. They take a few other prescriptions. So if they the wage that they're earning and their prescriptions, it's just the cost without measures like this, it's just it would just be way too difficult for them. So it's like testimonies like that just like shows you like how important these bills are.
That's so great to hear. That's so great to hear because I definitely know that I have grandparents who take prescription drugs as well. And, I would feel as if since, they're retired now too. So I know that, Jamie, with them being a teacher and, in being a struggle, I can also imagine how it could be a struggle for those who are retired and who are even veterans and things like that to have to get their prescription drugs but not have a cap for how much these prescription drugs can be because it can be quite outrageous when you think about how like these life-saving medications are so expensive and taxed astronomically to make it so where normal folks can't take the medicines that will help their bodies keep going. So thank you for helping those folks testify and still, being able to share how it made you feel and how it was for you to experience that during the legislature. So thank you. Next, I like to bring in Matilda. Matilda, this week you were everywhere. Can you talk to us a little bit about AB 407? I think it's a really good bill that will protect individuals' information, but how do you feel about it?
Well, hi, Brian. Thank you so much for having me. Right now, I'm live at the legislature. I'm not out in front like how Annette usually is for the sake of the weather and for the lighting, and it's super windy outside, but that is neither here or there. So, Assembly Bill 407 was actually heard earlier this week in Assembly Growth and Infrastructure. And this bill was championed by Assemblyman Max Carter, and it's actually one of the Nevada Immigrant Coalition's priority bills. To put it short, this bill relates to the DMV and it increases Nevadans' right to data privacy. But let's take a step back. What does that actually mean? This means protecting every single Nevadan's information private. And it's no secret to anybody on the Zoom or watching out in front from home that Paula just distracted me with her coming back on. But it's no secret that we have to make sure that we're protecting every single Nevadan's personal identification information. And it's especially important for folk who have driver's license authorizations card. Assembly Bill 450 is an additional safeguard for immigrant communities as it prevents agencies from completing additional surveillance on them. And I think what's really most important to highlight about this bill is that the fear of immigration enforcement will discourage undocumented folks from obtaining these cards and having access to car insurance. And I'm also going to quote one of our favorite grassroots Lobby Day volunteers. Mr. Dart said that the DMV's job is to have educated and safe drivers. And in this case, the DMV has to stay in their lane. And in turn, the DMV has to continue safeguarding Nevadans' information and to continue protecting undocumented Nevadans' privacy. And earlier you had talked about Assembly Bill 250. Do you mind if I chime in real quickly?
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is actually one of my favorite bills of the session so far. And the reason why is because since I was 5 years old, I have been on biologics. And at 5 years old, 90% of my body was covered in severe chronic plaque psoriasis. And I remember being in pain every single day because my body, or at the time and still today, my family calls them the itchies, was literally covered in the itchies and it was open, they were bleeding, and they caused me extreme pain that I never wanted to go out. I preferred to just sit in one spot and not move at all, and it made me really uncomfortable. And honestly, it was really difficult to just be me. And at 5 years old, I remember insurance refusing to cover my biologics, claiming that I was not a candidate due to my age, despite the severity of my disease and how it honestly impacted the quality of life and honestly my direction of life and the way that I was perceiving myself and just my general outlook of me and the way that I wanted to do things. Fortunately, my parents bent over backwards and made sure that every single month until I was 12 years old that I had access to the biologics that I needed to make the itchies less painful. Today, I can proudly say at 24, I only have minimal plaque psoriasis. It's probably around like 5% of it. So that's a pretty good stat from there. While I don't know the exact cost that it would have cost my parents to have purchased it every single month from the time I was 5 until I was 12, I do know that the cost of that drug right now without insurance would cost about like $3,700 a month. So if you do the math like that, that is a lot of money. And I recognize that is a lot of privilege. And we have to make sure that every single person has access to affordable drugs because no 5-year-old should ever have to live their life being afraid because the itchies hurt so much and I can't get up and I don't want to go to school and I don't feel like me.
I totally agree. Oh my goodness. That is, like I said before, an astronomical amount. Thank you for sharing your story. But oh my goodness, that is horrible. Like I couldn't imagine. I have eczema myself. Sometimes it gets to be like very, very bad. Like it's even gotten to like the palms of my hands before where it hurts to wash my hands or like even use like hand sanitizer because it like burns so bad. But I need it. So I definitely have taken prescriptions. I went to specialists for it to see how, we can get it together, get it under control. But like I remember going to one doctor and they were telling like, hey, this medication's this much money. And it was a super crazy amount. So we were like, my parents were like, hey, let's try this other cream or this other ointment that would kind of be the same, but not usually the same. And it would help for so often, but then again, it stopped working. So then I had to try another one, another one, another one. But I definitely do think that we should have a cap for these medicines because no 5-year-old or 12-year-old or anybody of that sort should have to go through life uncomfortable or unhappy about the way that their ailments are affected. So thank you again. My next question from Matilda is your background is in voting rights overall. So before joining Battleborn Progress, you successfully helped lead the Let Nevada's Vote Coalition. How does AB 286 affect marginalized communities?
So this bill actually belongs to the Millers, so Assembly members Brittany Miller and C.H. Miller. And what this bill does is that it allows Nevadans who are detained in jails and have not been found guilty of a crime or awaiting trial is an eligible voter. The current eligibility requirements to cast a ballot in the Silver State is that folks have to be at least 18 years of age. They have to be a citizen. They also have to be a resident of the state and a resident of the county that they intend to cast their ballot in for at least 30 days before election day. And they cannot be serving or currently serving time for a felony conviction. And what this bill does is that it allows those living within the Department of Corrections that are not serving felonies and as such eligible to have the option to cast a ballot should they want to via NBEs, which is Nevada's advocacy system for election NBEs. And I want to be clear about something. Voting means all eligible voters should have unimpeded access to cast their ballot, and all means all. That means every single person who has the right to cast their ballot, and in this case, we want to make sure folks who are living within the DOC have access to cast their ballot should they be eligible to.
I agree. I feel like they should have that access even if they are in jail as being detained because they have not lost their constitutional right to vote. They have every right to vote. And if they are in jail at the time of election day or during early voting or around that time, they should be able to have the opportunity to vote. I do want to say thank you to Assemblywoman Miller, C.H. Miller as well, and the 21 other sponsors who signed on to this bill because, Assemblywoman Miller is the lead sponsor, but a lot of other individuals signed on to make because it's a good piece of policy. Like those folks who are detained haven't lost their right, so it should just be a no-brainer that they should be able to vote. So thank you for talking a little bit on that. My next question is I know you do a lot of work with decarb as well. Could you talk to us a little bit about SB 281 and why this bill is important?
Yes, so I have the honor of coordinating the Breathe Free Nevada Coalition, which consists of community partners like Faith Organizing Alliance, Faith in Action Nevada, Plan Nevada, Vote Solar, and much more. Senate Bill 281 was actually heard yesterday, and this is Senator Rochelle Wynn's bill. And to put it short, this bill sets natural gas at the lowest reasonable cost to utility and to customers. And the reason why this bill is so important is because we're already living through the effects of climate change. From heat waves, drought, air pollution, climate change is already affecting the way our health, our environment, and honestly, our ability to make a livable wage. And I'm going to highlight the livable wage part. And it's also very important to recognize that low-income Black, Indigenous, and Nevadans of color are especially living within areas with hotter temperatures, dirtier air, and fewer green spaces and higher energy bills. But the reason why this is so important is because these effects that we're facing to today, they're happening right now, and they're only going to get worse, and they're only going to continue repeating. And if anything, issues like this also highlight other sources of inequities in our social systems right now. One of the things that the Breathe Free Nevada Coalition is working towards in the future is building more community engagement and stakeholdership, and doing a lot more community education to bring these environmental justice issues in the home. So as someone who lives in Southern Nevada, we all know that during the summertime, we crank up that air conditioning, and naturally our air conditioning costs and our energy costs skyrocket. But that also leads to a lot of wealth inequalities, and also shows a lot of things where simply we can't keep up with those living wages. So we want to bring those issues to be a home-based issues. So that way folks can have conversations at the kitchen table with their family and friends and talk about what are the things that are affecting me right now, and how is it actually affecting me, and how can we make those changes? And I think that this bill actually does just that.
Yeah, I think it does as well. Like I've been in Southern Nevada for about 3 years now. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. So I'm used to, the season changing all the time. There being feet of snow, only like 3 months of summertime here and there. Like it's always windy, it rains, or it's gloomy outside. So seeing, another part of our country have just such issues with, climate change and heat and things like that. I definitely think it should be, it should be a big importance to move towards cleaner energy and more green spaces for our community as well. I would like to go to an audience question that we have. It's from Maite, and she asks, how can we learn more about moving towards decarbonization?
So we can learn more about moving towards decarbonization by honestly just keeping up with Battleborn Progress, an Institute for Progressive Nevada and Protect Nevada, and with the Breathe Free Nevada Coalition. One of the things that we do have is that we have this really cool really cool document with some summaries about legislative priorities that we want to accomplish, and that way, and things that we want to see in the future. I'm sure that one of my friends in the chat will drop in the link to that document in the chat. But one of the ways that we can do these things is to build more stakeholdership. So I know one of the things that we're doing with our sister org, Institute for Progressive Nevada, is that on Earth Day, we're actually having a take a hike. And one of our lovely story bank organizers, Erin Rook, is spearheading this roundtable where we're going to be talking about EJ issues, climate justice issues, and how we can get involved. So that is one way to do it, and it's going to be happening on April 22nd on Earth Day. Also, just want to plug that if you sign up for our Take a Hike, you'll be eligible for 2 free raffle tickets. And if you just want to purchase a raffle ticket, that's also available as well. Folks are able to participate in the roundtable for free. Want to do a big plug that the prize for the raffle is about like $900 worth of Patagonia gear. So why don't you all come with us, take a hike, learn about how we can move towards decarbonization, and have your chance to win some Patagonia gear.
Oh my goodness, Matilda, that was like the greatest explanation. I couldn't have done better at all. And I think y'all would really definitely want to sign up for this take a hike. I'm definitely planning on being there. The Patagonia gear, I must say, is quite fire. It's definitely nice. Oh, Ignacio is gonna tag along on the hike.
Of course I will. I want the Patagonia stuff.
I think it's nice. I think it's really nice. Thank you for that. Okay, cool. We have some other audience questions. I want to go to Ignacio. Ignacio, someone asked in the chat, how can you spot disinformation? I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, but how can you spot it? So even if it's like, besides looking at like credible sources, like if you just see a post and you're like, this looks kind of too good to be true, but like besides the point, like how can you tell for sure if there's a way?
Well, I will say consider always the source. Who is sending this to you, first of all? And if a friend is sending this to you, who is writing or who is the creator of the video or the article? That's basically the big thing. Another thing that you have to see about this information is if you get a content, does it cite the source? So if you read a whole thing, I remember months ago, I was reading a whole article, super interesting about something that was very important for me, that somebody sent me through WhatsApp. Latinos, we are in WhatsApp, so don't judge me. And the thing is that when I finished the article, I was like, well, who is the source? Who is writing this? It didn't have a name. It didn't have of course, it wasn't true. It was somebody, anybody, all of us can create content right now from our phones or from our computers. So the source is very important. Another thing to check is if what you are reading, what you are watching, what you are listening is an opinion or is objective. If you can find words that define the person that they are talking or they are putting qualificatives, probably it's not a good source, a good objective source. And you have always you have to make sure that the article is objective. If not, you are just reading or watching a commentary like Fox News. That is not news. Then we have, I would say also what I said before. Can you confirm that this information is in another reliable source? If it is, well, you are in a good way. And always be wary about social media because that's where most of this information is. Now, how to counter this information? We said never amplify this information. Focus in amplifying what you want others to know. For example, if a politician is saying something that is a lie, do not amplify this politician. Do not even name him or her. Just create or look for another content that is talking about the truth and share that content. That is going to be a little of a balance, And right now there's a lot of topics that are big, especially before the next election. The radicalization is already starting, and the lies are everywhere.
That kind of leads me to my next question for you, Ignacio. I know we're having there's a joint gun hearing happening right now on AB 354, AB 355, and SB 171. Is there any disinformation around the gun bills that are being heard currently that you can kind of talk to us about?
Well, I know we talk a little about what these bills are. AB 355 will raise the age to 21 for people to being able to buy semi-auto assault weapons. I think that's the name. Hopefully, I didn't make a word here. Then AB 354 is very important because it won't allow people to carry a gun into a voting location or a place related to elections. And this is important because we don't want intimidation, for other people that are and they want to vote. And SB 171 will, this will update our hate crimes laws, prohibiting the purchase, sales, and ownership of firearm for 10 years for somebody that had a conviction of a hate crime. And of course, when I explain what these bills are about, they were presented today. You can imagine that all these groups that are defending the guns are going to jump right away to talk about. Just in the audience today, we could see some people talking. The people that were giving their testimonies talking about that this is an anti-constitutional, that this is against the law. Da, da, da. We are going to hear a lot about this, but these three bills again are very important for all of us, and for having communities that are more safe. We all want to be safe in our communities. I have to say something before you go to the next question. The Boogaloo Brothers that I was talking before is a band, and they are musicians. Poor guys, please don't hate them and follow them. They only have 106 followers. So I researched that while you were talking. The real problem here is the Boogaloo movement. So not the Boogaloo Brothers. That was this information coming from me. Sorry.
Thank you for clearing that up, though, because I did not have the chance to look that up, and I was going to look it up after. But thank you for doing that, because I, gotta stop the disinformation. But thank you for catching that. I do appreciate it. And like you were talking about those three bills, AB 354, AB 355, and SB 171 are all common sense legislation bills. Banning guns and weapons from polling locations is definitely important. Raising the age from 18 to 21 to buy an assault rifle, that's common sense, because someone who is 18 can't even go into a bar and do things like that. And then also SB 171, the hate crimes bill, that's another common sense piece of legislation. Like, if someone is committing hate crimes, why would you be in ownership of a firearm at all? That's totally not true. It's not okay. So these are definitely good bills. And thank you, Ignacio.
And you know what, Brian? They are being nice, because I will put here people that are violent against their partners. I will put there all kinds of violent people, but that's not what they are doing. And we have to remember that in shootings like Sandy Hook, Buffalo Parkland, and Uvalde, the shooters were younger than 21 years. Younger than 21. So that's it. There you have it.
Yes, that is very true as well. Okay, next audience question. I'd like to go to Paula. The question is from Lisa in the chat. Oh no, it's not. It's from someone else in the chat. Could you tell us your favorite Envy Ledge memory?
My favorite, that would be touch. That would be tough, because there's a lot. There's a lot. I feel like on the spot now. Okay, so I did tell you, I shared that one about the prickly pears when they were lobbying their senator on their walk. But I think there was like a lot of moments like that where we got to see like the volunteers practice lobbying, and then I got to see it firsthand, and either watch them do it or help them do it, and all those were my favorite moments. So
for sure. Thank you for sharing that. I actually would like to share mine now. I know that wasn't a question for me, but it isn't really Envy Ledge related, but we went to JT's a couple towns over, and I'd like to just point out that their food is amazing. It's amazing. Basque food. It's family style, and I'm kind of new to family style dinner, but the food is just so phenomenal. Does anybody else want to touch on that?
I'll jump in. I'm sure Matilda and Ignacio are gonna want to too, but that is hands down definitely my favorite restaurant in Northern Nevada, but it's one of my favorite restaurants now in general. Like we got to go, we went yesterday without you. So we went back. But yeah, it's like it's like one of those spots where I will hit it up every time I'm up there now because it's amazing. Ignacio, Matilda, thoughts?
Oh my God, the bread, the meat, the wine, the liquor. What is the name of that liquor? I don't remember.
Econ punch.
Oh my God. Just send me a liter of that to my home. I loved it. It was very nice. And I hope we can do that again, friends. It was spectacular.
JT's is my favorite thing about Northern Nevada. I love JT's. It's one of my favorite places. In fact, during my first legislative session, Annette actually took me to JT's with the whole team. So every single time, whenever we're up here, we get to go. And it's one of my favorite things to do because it just really encompasses like this is the whole family aspect of it. We're going to this cool little place. Maria is giving us an amazing bath history lesson, and I get to learn things that I didn't know before. And I just get to be around some of my favorite people and just getting to learn more about other cultures while eating other food that I love. The food is amazing, by the way. So I would give it like a 10 out of 10 and no cap in there, Keith Lee style.
It's 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10 if you go with MT and she fills you in on the Basque culture.
Yes, giving it all the high ratings, Keith Lee style, 11 out of 10, 11 out of 10. The food is amazing. I definitely would want to come back with all you lovely folks once again, if we get the opportunity to. When it's not during legislative time, just taking a trip. Maybe if we go to like Tahoe, we can go, that'd be really cool. That'd be a good, nice trip, But I do have one more question for Matilda. It wasn't an audience question. It was one more question that we had. You testified on a bill that would add a requirement for a paid leave policy for companies wanting certain tax breaks. Tell us why this is so important for Nevada families.
Yeah, so this is actually Senator Flores' bill, SB 429, which was heard today. And what this bill does is that it adds paid family leave as a requirement for businesses to obtain a tax abatement. And the reason why this bill is so important, especially for our working Nevada families, is that it aligns our economic incentives with our goal to attract the right companies for the Silver State. One of my favorite parts about this hearing was that our former Lieutenant Governor, Kate Marshall, explained it so beautifully. What this bill does is that it helps working families. It keeps working families, specifically working moms, in the workforce, while also helping employers to recruit and retain talented employees. I wish I could show you the photo on my phone. I don't think you'd be able to see it, but during the presentation, former Lieutenant Governor Kate Marshall showed like two charts. Basically what the chart was is that it showed two states, California and New Jersey, two states that have paid family leave enacted into law. And what it did was that it showed the trend of working folks with kids and working folks without kids. And it showed like how when paid family leave was enacted into law, those the number of folks with kids and without kids were skyrocketing up. So that means that it actually does work, and it means that it supports working families and it keeps working families in there. Another cool part about this bill and why I think it's so important is that paid family and medical leave keeps valuable employees in their jobs when they have a family emergency, and it saves employers money. I don't know about you all, but sometimes things do happen, and sometimes you have to drop things abruptly to take care of a family emergency. And not everyone has the ability to just drop what they need to do and have that specific thing set up in place. But with paid family leave, working families are empowered to be able to take care of their families, because the way that I see it, in order to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, building into the direction of where we want to take an organization, or like working into that mission, that organization's culture and value systems, we need to take care of our families first, and we need to be able to take care of us. And that's exactly why this bill is so important.
That you summed it up so greatly. Thank you so much. I did have one question though. Could you kind of explain what a tax abatement is? I know you just talked a little bit on it, but could you clarify for me, please?
Yes. So the way that Senator Flores explained it is that basically when small businesses, I'm I'm going to trigger some people when I say this, but I'm going to quote what was said in the bill presentations. But as the former lieutenant governor said, this is not directly for mom and pop businesses. This is for small businesses with at least 50 employees, and basically it gives them that tax incentive. And please give a shout out to the hardworking LCB staff who are keeping everybody safe and keeping everybody healthy. They're doing a really great job, and I could probably do soon.
Shout out to them. Shout out to them. Well, we're definitely going to be wrapping up pretty soon. I have one more question for Paula. This week, AJR 5 was presented. It's a resolution that, if passed by the voters, it will open the possibility of a state lottery, and the revenue would help fund mental health. Could you tell us more about how you feel about the bill and what you think it would do for our great state of Nevada?
Yes, I was hoping you'd ask me about this bill because I really like it and there's two big points for me. Like the one is right now we are one of the best things. There's a lot of stuff happening in our country and around us, right? But one of the great things that I think is happening lately is we're really talking more openly about mental health and just the need for resources. And so I'm really excited that this bill is aimed to hopefully fund that if we do go to a lottery. So it would establish a lottery in Nevada, and the funds would go towards mental health resources. So I think it's great that we're focusing on that. I think it's great that we're talking more about it. And I think this bill is great because we should be funding it. The other aspect, and this is kind of an answer to anybody who was anti the bill. They're concerned about, oh, well, how is that going to affect, our biggest, gaming being our biggest economy here, or like, a lot of people are in it, and blah, 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 excuses. Like, this is a great bill. And I, like many people that I know in this state, my husband, my family that's in the state, we don't gamble. I hate gambling. I will never go and give $20 to casino because I don't want them to take my money. But I may stop and get gas and buy a lotto ticket because, like, what are the chances? Maybe I'll win, maybe I won't. But if it's going to fund mental health resources, great. Take my money even if I don't win. And so the gaming is not losing my money. Lotto is gaining my money, which is great. But gaming's not losing my money because I'm not ever giving my money to gaming. So yeah, let's support mental health. Let's pass AJR 5 and get this ball moving.
I just wanted to add, so my dad actually submitted a letter in support of AJR 5. And in his letter, he stated how literally once a week he has a routine. So once a week he likes to drive down to either to California, or when he's on our way to go visit our home in Sedona, he likes to go and purchase lottery tickets. However, as a retired older man, he is unable to always make that drive out there. Sometimes I remember one week where he wanted to go on a Sunday, but it was so windy that it wasn't safe for him to drive out there to California or to Arizona to purchase that lotto ticket. But when he first heard about this bill, he said, well, I don't gamble. He doesn't gamble. So why not just invest my money into the silver state if I'm already going to take time out of my day to go drive out to another country, to another state, and to invest my funds in there? So why not invest within our own state? And that happened because it took him 3 days, 3 separate tries to drive out to California or to Arizona to go buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah, and Matilda, I want to follow up too. Is like there's so many people that drive out to buy lotto tickets because they like playing lotto. So we're missing out on that money. This is Nevadans' money, and they're going to give it to California and or Arizona when we can keep it here. Worst case scenario, you fund mental health. Best case scenario, you win the lottery. So it's a win-win.
That is definitely a win-win. I thank y'all for touching on that, and telling folks about AJR5 and why the state of Nevada needs a lottery. I come from a state, Illinois, I've known the lottery my entire life. So when I came to Nevada, I was like, oh my gosh, there's no lottery here. It didn't really make sense to me, and I hate gambling as well. So I personally support AJR5, and I think that it's great because once again, like you said, you can possibly win the lottery. Even if you win 40, 50 bucks on the scratch off, you can possibly win that, and you're also funding mental health. So I think that was a great way to wrap up our show because we are at 6 p.m. Are there any closing remarks that y'all would like to give folks before we wrap up?
I will go first, if that's okay, Ignacio. I think I beat you to it. So yesterday or the day before, we were at the halfway point. We're at the 60 days. So things are only going to pick up more with the ledge. I'm excited about it. I know our team's excited about it. So a lot's going to happen. I hope everybody will keep watching the OIFs on Friday on Thursday. Jeez. And watching our Twitter and our other social media because we are working really hard to keep everybody updated and things are going to be moving a lot and they're going to be moving fast. So I hope you all are sticking with us and watching what happens in our state.
Now, I would like to say also that as you can see, people, as most of us, we do a great work here. We try to do the best that we can. And we need volunteers. We need people that for different programs, and we need people that will tell their stories, and that will help a lot. Because one thing is talking about numbers, the other thing is talking about a real person telling you their story. So if you can, please send us your information, talk to us, and we have several places where you could volunteer.
Thank you for those closing remarks. I also know that I just put in the chat for everyone. If you're all interested in countering disinformation, you can also join the organic content program. Gada J on our team is over the program, and if you would like to get into contact with her, her email is in the chat. Also, I'd like to let folks know that April 14th is the first House deadline. This means that everything must be voted out of the House of Origin and to the other houses. And we will be back next Thursday at 5 p.m. to give y'all more information. Thank you so much for joining us. Catch you later.